Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. Brian Fisher is my name. You are listening to Focal Point, the home of muscular Christianity on Conservative Talk Radio, Take No Prisoners Radio on Focal Point. We were talking with Kim from Powhatan, Virginia. Kim is a contractor. And Kim, I want to go back and pick up and then have you keep going. But you're a general contractor, so you'll hire a lot of people, landscapers and others.
Right.
And you said you're experiencing a lot of pressure to make these people rather than subcontractors.
Absolutely.
Now, who's doing this, and why are they doing it?
The government is doing that, and the state. Both are enforcing it. They have a task force set up that was set up by the Obama administration to enforce this employee independent contractor fine line. So traditionally, we're in the past, it's a no-brainer. If I hire, if I use landscapers or if I use, independent contractor maid services, I'm not trying to skirt the law. This is just traditionally what we've done.
Right.
And here's what the state told me. I had someone that had a maid service that stopped working for me. And even though I had an independent contractor agreement with her and her company, even though she had her own insurance, which I required, the state told me this, that the only reason that I was off the hook is because she kind of told on herself. But here's what they told me. If I have a guy come do my own personal lawn, and it turns out he has no other customers, and I say, you know what, I can't have you do my lawn anymore, that he could go and file a claim against me. This is what my state told me. So we're having a real difficult time. It's really, we don't know that fine line to walk on. And in my business, we don't have stable work. I can't hire people and make them employees.
Right. It works for you to have subcontractors because you can hire them basically to do piecework.
Right.
You can hire them to do the job that you need to get done, and then they can go on and do the same job for some other contractor. You cannot afford to bring them on your payroll. You don't have enough of that kind of business to keep them employed full time. So it works for you, and it works for them. They get a paycheck from you, then they can go off and do the same thing for somebody else.
Right.
But the state is trying to crimp all that. The Obama administration is trying to crimp all that, and I'm trying to get at why. And let me ask for your opinion on this, Kim. I would think the only reason that the state and the federal government would want you to treat these people as employees or officially make them employees is somehow they can get more of your money as an employer in taxes, whether it's whatever the tax burden is that has to come out of your end.
Right.
That's the way they can dig their hands a little deeper into your pockets. Is that the bottom line here?
Well, certainly we're keeping the unemployment. You got to understand, we're actually, if they're employees, we pay unemployment taxes. We have to pay matching payroll taxes. But I wish I could tell you how many times I hear from people, well, I'm on unemployment. Can you pay me under the table? Absolutely not.
Well, so that's and Kim, that's an interesting angle to this whole unemployment thing. That's a fascinating angle because I hadn't even thought about that. Is you have people that are out there drawing unemployment. They know that if they go back to work for somebody and they declare that, then their unemployment comes to an end because they're no longer unemployed.
Right.
So what you're saying is you have a lot of people that are actually drawing unemployment, and they want to come to you and they want to get paid, as you put it, under the table so they can increase their income without giving up the money that they're getting from you and me.
Absolutely. And that I get that constantly. That, and I get a disability check. Can you pay under the table?
Wow, same deal. So if they're getting the disability check and they're coming to you for work, then they're obviously not too disabled to work. They really don't belong on disability.
Absolutely. And it's very frustrating. I was a divorced single mom. Nobody's fault but mine. And I worked hard. I went back to college, got my degree at 40. I just worked hard to build my business. Nobody gave me anything. So when somebody tells me what they can't do or tries to ride my, it's hard for me to conceive of that. And I tell you what, though, I feel like I've got weights all on my ankles, and just with the laws and the demands, and it's very tough.
Well, and I sympathize with what you're saying, Kim, and thank you for that call. I appreciate that very much, and I just saw this article today, CNS News, in 2013. These are just regulations that were issued in 2013, cost Americans $447 million each day that government was open in 2013. These were new regulations just in 2013, cost $112 billion. That was the impact on the American economy, $47 million for every single one of the 251 days that the government was open. And that's what Kim was talking about there in the end of that call. She just feels like she has these weights tight around her ankles. Remember that verse in Hebrews 12 where Paul tells us to, or the writer of Hebrews tells us to lay aside every weight that so easily entangles us. Strip off the ankle weights so you can run without that restriction. We got business owners like Kim being weighted down by all of these government regulations, cost $447 million a day in total, $112 billion overall. The total impact of regulations on the economy is almost $2 trillion now. It's $1.75 trillion. Now, I want you to understand what that means. That means that's $1.75 trillion that cannot go into new jobs. It cannot go into new hires. It cannot go into wage increases because it is being sucked into the maw of the government, which does nothing with it, just wastes it, just consumes it, takes it out of the economy, robbing people of jobs. So it's of absolutely no benefit. In 2013, federal regulators added 2,974 more pages of rules to the Federal Register than they did in 2012. And these regulations required 157 million hours of additional paperwork that Americans like Kim had to fill out. 157 million hours of additional paperwork. So you got to pay somebody to do that. That costs money to have somebody taking care of all that paperwork. They can't do productive things to expand your business. All right, number to call, 888-589-8840. And you might have heard about this jobs report, and I want to tell you what a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad jobs report this is. Don't let anybody fool you on this. There were 74,000 jobs that were created in December. Ladies and gentlemen, it takes a minimum of 150,000 jobs a month just to stay above water, just to stay at sea level. So there's no question that we're losing ground. The unemployment rate came down to 6.7%, but that's smoke and mirrors. And even the mainstream media like CNN and Associated Press, the jig is up now on that whole deal. They are admitting the only reason the unemployment rate is coming down is people are just quitting. People are just giving up. 347,000 people dropped out of the workforce. Only 74,000 people got jobs. So that's why the unemployment rate is coming down, because if you're not in the workforce, you've gotten so discouraged, you simply stop looking. They do not count you in the unemployment stats. Rob, if we can grab clip number 6. This is CNN now. Associated Press saying the same thing. MSNBC this morning. The jobs report is, quote, awful. It's very bad. It's ugly. That's MSNBC. Associated Press, weakest month of hiring in 3 years. Proportion of people working or looking for work fell to 62.8%, matching a 36-year low. So even AP is saying things under Obama are as bad as they were under Carter. And here is CNN, leans pretty far to the left. Here's what they say about the jobs report.
Big surprise. A big miss. Economists really got this wrong. 74,000 jobs created in the month, the last month of the year, only 74,000. You remember you had economists all week revising upward their expectations, closer to 200,000. Here's the real shocker. The jobless rate drops to 6.7%.
Which we should be cheering.
How can that be? The lowest jobless rate since 2008, basically. More than 500,000 people just left the job market, just stopped looking for work. Total jobs created for the year, 2.2 million, making you basically on par with 2012. So basically, last year we created as many jobs as we did the year before. Now we have the whole year's picture for the month. 74,000 jobs. That is a big disappointment. A lot of economists thought that it'd be much better than that. Then you look at the jobless rate. It fell in part because people simply gave up.
people just simply gave up. Jeff Sessions pointed out 74,000 people got jobs. 340,000 people just stopped looking for work altogether. That means 5 times as many people left the workforce as got jobs. For every one person that got a job, 5 people dropped out of the workforce altogether. And, somebody at Town Hall pointed out, Christine Russell, the NHL has this big hockey game on New Year's Day every year. And outdoor, they play it in the football stadium, University of Michigan. 105,000 people showed up for that hockey game between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Detroit Red Wings. More people showed up for that one single solitary hockey game on January 1 than got jobs in the month of December. Well, let's go to Tommy. Tommy, welcome to Focal Point. Tommy, glad to have you on the program. What's on your mind?
Oh, thank you. I was just going to kind of make some comments about some things I've heard from some other viewers. I just wanted to let you know that I'm a 35-year-old male and been fortunate enough to be born in this country. I've been employed outside of the home since I was 14 years old, and there's never been a period of time that I haven't been employed. And so some of your earlier guests said, if these immigrants come over, they're going to take our jobs. That's just simply not true. If you want to work, you can find a job.
Well, and the thing I wonder about, and I want to get your take on this, Tommy, the point that I made is there are jobs that Americans who are on welfare won't do. In other words, they're not hungry enough to get a job because they're getting enough in welfare that they don't need to go out and get a job, so they can hold out for a higher paying job. And I wonder if that kind of fits with your perception that welfare has made them dependent and sort of unwilling to take jobs that maybe a generation ago they would have lapped up in a heartbeat.
Well, that's exactly right. My dad was born in 1935, and so he raised me in a different mindset. I've never been on welfare because I've always worked, and I learned that from him. People that don't have the same, upbringing, they're okay to be on welfare instead of working. I would rather work, and literally I have shoveled horse manure for a job one time.
Yeah.
I was in high school. It was a summer job, and it wasn't what I did all day long, but it was part of my job.
All right, Tommy, listen, I appreciate that. And Tommy making it very clear, look, that's not a job that Americans won't do. He was willing to do it. I did similar things, worked in a slaughterhouse, packing plants growing up. There are no jobs that Americans won't do. Back in 2.
Few words offer more